guys, welcome back to our podcast. I can't believe you're watching this, third episode?
Third episode,
You
third
must
time's
really
a charm.
like us.
You like us. We're a hit.
I know. We're up to 10 views. Thank you, guys.
We're trying to get to a dirty dozen.
Please.
You know what a dirty dozen is, right?
A dozen eggs? That's what came to my mind, but I don't know what a dirty dozen is.
13.
Oh. Why is it called a dirty dozen?
Because you're dirty after the dozen's done with you.
Oh, it's a porn reference. Porn. Okay.
Dirty dozen. Baker's dozen means 13 donuts. Dirty dozen means you're a whore.
Okay. Noted.
No judgment.
No judgment at all.
Did you see, speaking of
dirty, speaking of dirty whores,
speaking of sex and sex workers, listen, shout out, no judgment again.
They need to buy homes.
Who?
Sex workers need to buy homes.
Oh, listen, I've tried a couple times with a few girls, but
did you really?
Yeah, it's just hard to document that cash. But there's some, I guess she was a star, porn star or OnlyFans star. She got rushed to the hospital after she slept with 500 and something men.
At once, or like?
Yes, in one.
How can 500 men, like, what is that? Like a 30-second?
I don't know. I don't know if they have fluffers and they just go in there, get in there and they're done, or it's like they warm up in there. I don't know.
That is insane.
But what's even,
you really saw this or something?
Yeah. She said, but like, the goal was like 100 and something. She ended up with 544, something like that. What's crazy to me though is she's like, oh yeah, my husband called to wish me good luck. My husband said, and I quote, because I remember this, "Make us proud."
How much money do you think she's making?
Not enough to have that thing oozing and goozing.
Oh no.
No.
I hope they I want to say background test, but like STD test before they did that. That's crazy. I didn't know that. No, I didn't. I guess our news feeds are a little different.
But here's my thing: since I don't really, have the heterosexual sex, was she squirting? Like, what was happening?
Oh my god! I think you'd probably just go numb after. I'm assuming. After a certain number. I don't know.
This might get edited out.
Yeah.
We'll leave it to Hyman.
I know.
But yeah, listen, we like to talk about current events. That was on my feed.
Oh my god, wasn't on mine, but thank you for relaying that. That's crazy. What was on my feed was this lady, like a 60-something-year-old prostitute, and she was like, I don't know, I need to retire.
That was her TikTok.
Well, that was like someone like recorded her, and she's like, I don't know, this is it. Like, I've been doing this for like 30, 40 years or whatever she's been doing it for. And they were like, well, when are you going to retire? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, aw.
There's somebody out there for everybody.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
Hopefully she's not on the corner. She's got her nice motel room with some air conditioning and snacks.
She should be,
Yeah, she should be up a level.
Yes.
Because at 67, listen, at 57, getting off the couch gets on my nerves. So I can imagine being 67 spread out in the back of a fucking small car. Like,
yeah, she deserves better.
Yeah, she deserves better.
She's earned it.
So
she got seniority, baby.
Maybe she goes to yoga. Maybe she's real limber and...
You know what? Give her a round of applause. Yeah, she should be teaching classes. I think that would be her retirement.
Can you imagine how to be a successful, long-lasting prostitute? Is that really it?
Write a book. Write a book.
Yes.
Look at her. She needs to go on this podcast. We need to give her some retirement.
Come on, 67-year-old lady. Let's go.
Yes. I gotta find her now.
She could get like good sponsorship for like thongs.
Yeah.
Listen, Victoria's Secret's not a secret anymore. The secret's out. She could do a whole new line for Victoria's Secret. The secret's out.
The secret's out.
That should be a perfume. You're welcome, Victoria's Secret.
Or we can do our own.
The secret's out?
The secret's out. Milo's secret. Victor's secret.
Oh, God. That's a mess. How was your week?
Stressful. I have this deal that it's driving me insane. But so I'm working with, Mylo is not the only lender I work with, you guys. I work with other lenders. And shout out to Valeria. She's an amazing lender. My bracelet coming apart as I'm talking to you. Sorry, this is like
very distracted today.
Well, it's supposed to be for bad juju, and I don't know.
The juju's getting Annabelle's on the loose.
Annabelle is on the loose. She's missing.
I know.
That's crazy. And I spread the comments like, oh well, the good news is we're getting a new Annabelle movie soon. Bad news is we're in it. I was like, facts. Yeah, so this deal was falling apart, but I believe Valera's going to close it, and the listing agent has been a mess and doesn't answer her phone call at all. Like, doesn't answer the phone at all. And so we're doing everything we can, but my clients are sweet couple, and they're
talking about this the other day.
Yeah, I gave you the real
rundown,
the real nitty gritty, but yeah. So that's what my weekend was like, just putting out fires and babysitting realtors and it's being politically correct all the time. So.
And people don't get it, right? Mm-hmm. I say this all the time to you behind closed doors, and I'll say it on camera. The problem isn't the people, right? It's not the kids that are the problem; it's the parents. So it's not the clients, it's the realtors, it's the lenders. Yeah. What are we putting out there in terms of education for buyers, for future clients? Mm-hmm. Not the right thing, right? You can get a house with no money. Call me if you're broke. Girl, what? And then you get a client that says, I'm broke. I'm broke. And by the way, I need 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, and I want to live in a good neighborhood. Oh, so you're a dreamer.
Yeah.
And then we're the asshole because we tell them what the real price is,
yeah,
what the mortgage payment is, right? Because again,
I mean, it can happen. I've done deals where people got amazing deals, right? Low rates and closing costs.
Yeah, but they still had some money.
And they didn't, but you have to have. It comes down to credit.
Listen,
you have to have
all the time.
Credit, people.
You got to have good credit and some money.
Yeah.
Or you bet a bad credit and a lot of money.
Either or. So we got to have ideally good credit and some money. That's ideal. But, we have,
what's the common denominator?
Great credit. You can have a little bit of money and I'll make it work. Or if you have terrible credit, you better have a lot of money and we'll make it work.
Denominator? You got to have money.
Yeah.
You got to have money. You have upfront costs.
I've done deals where people got checks back at the closing tables. But
they still had money to start.
I think it comes on the credit.
But they still had money to start.
Yeah.
You've got to have money for the earnest money. Yeah. You got to have money for your inspection. Right. You got to have money for
the appraisal.
Mm-hmm. That right there on a $300,000 house.
Yeah.
You're talking about $4,000 up front.
Yeah.
How are you going to walk in the door with no money?
Yeah.
I got a text yesterday from a client. Mm-hmm. I have $10,000. When am I getting the pre-approval?
I can make it work for $10,000.
Not for the house he wants. Oh. I said, your down payment is $13,875. That's not including closing costs. Oh. So there's no pre-approval coming yet.
He said pre-approval.
So then he sends me a $250,000 house. Uh-huh. I said, okay, your down payment's $8,750 or something like that.
Oh, he made it, boo.
You still need money for closing costs.
We'll get the closing costs. I promise you.
We're not playing that game because at the end of the day, his credit isn't great. Mm-hmm. This market where he wants to live, he may not get $5,000 or $6,000 in closing costs. So I need you to have it in case you can't get it.
Yeah.
Because here's the other piece of the equation that, we talk about behind scenes. Mm-hmm. Realtors like to say, you need to shop your lender. You need to make sure that you're getting the best deal. Mm-hmm. Rates are rates are rates, everybody. And rates are determined by the lender, how they want to slice the pie based on your credit, your purchase price, your loan amount, all of those things. Then you add to the mix what the company has to make, what the LO has to make. So you're not always going to get the best deal with the best LO. Mm-hmm. But is it worth $500 or $1,000 to go to a lesser deal, a lesser LO?
So this is how I just so you know how I market you as my lender. And Valeria, honestly, because you guys offer different things, right, for different types of people. And so I say, you could shop your lender for sure. You have the right. But Mylo is a mortgage broker, right? You're a broker. So you have the opportunity to look at different things and different programs. And you have access to many things. So you're already doing the shopping for them. Do you know what I mean? So, and they don't realize that. So I literally break that down to them. Like, he's doing the shopping for you. So he can give you the lowest rate, and that might cost you, or he can give you somewhere in between, or, whatever. We'll figure it out, but he's going to line out the best options for you.
But the thing that I like about working with you is one of the things, right, is you're not basing the deal on the rate.
Yeah, the rate's the rate.
The rate's the rate. You're going to
Yeah.
have a rate. And again, if you can't afford an $18 or $30 difference, you're buying too much house.
Mhm.
And the argument's always, well, over 30 years, you're not keeping the house 30 years.
Yeah.
And you're going to refinance it at some point.
So this is the conversation I have with almost every buyer when they want to buy down the rate. The buying down the rate can cost you like $6,000-$7,000. Do you know what I mean? If the seller wants to pay for that, let them, right?
Yep.
Or if the builder wants to pay for that, by all means, please. But as a buyer, like if I'm buying a house, that $6,000 or $7,000 will give you a lower rate, but that might only save you maybe $200 a month, right? That's
not even that much.
Maybe $150. I don't know. And then out of a year, let's say after a year, that's $2,400, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be in your house now for 4 to 5 years before you even recoup. Can I say that word?
Yes,
Recoup that money back. And then at that point, what if you refinance or what if you sell the house? You wasted $6,000 or $7,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
$150.
Yeah, and I have a client. She's really sweet. She wanted a 1-2 buy down or whatever, and we did the math, and she's basically just prepaying it up front.
Yeah.
The savings wasn't much, you know. So those are conversations I have with my buyers. Although I'm not a lender, and I do let them know I'm not a lender. This is not my role, really, and I really shouldn't be telling you this. But I want them to be educated, right? And so that's really like the precursor to how even get them to you. It's like I have these conversations with them and I say, Mylo is going to be the guy to tell you exactly what you need to know and all the numbers. This is just my experience, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, because it's technically against the law for realtors to discuss interest rates.
Never mind. I didn't do that.
So you have to be licensed to talk about rates.
Yeah.
You can talk about what D.R. Horton or somebody's advertising.
Yeah.
That's not talking about rates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, what I tell a lot of...
But even those D.R. Horton ones, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but they say as low as 3.99. Yeah. That doesn't mean you're going to get the 3.99 rate. You might get a 4.2. You know what I mean? Which is okay.
What the costs are.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is fine, but...
There's so much information that's not included
Yeah.
in the teaser, right? It's like clickbait, right? And what I tell a lot of my constant referral partners that we don't really deal with because, listen, we all work together a lot. It's like they don't overstep that.
Yeah.
Right. It's you make sure your client's prepared to have the conversation, right? Because if you're setting up somebody for, you don't need money down, you can get really low rates, the seller will pay for and then when you can't do it, who's the asshole?
Yeah.
Right. Like they're disappointed. They started a race they can't finish.
Let's talk about down payment assistance programs, because this is the biggest. If anyone's going to take anything away from this podcast today, please know there's no such thing in this world as free money.
No,
you're going to get usually going to get a higher rate with down payment assistance.
It's a higher rate,
and you're going to get a lien put on your house for the first 3 or 5 years.
You have a silent second lien. You also have higher closing costs because now there's fees associated with using the program.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, if you do a 3% down payment assistance program, you're really netting about 1.5%.
Yes.
So is it worth it? Typically, no. Most lenders can give you a lender credit and just inflate your rate that way, and you come out with less fees.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have to be prepared to purchase a home. And it's okay if you're not. We get so wrapped up as a society is what we're supposed to do, keeping up with our friends, trying to chase these dreams, right? Like by 30, I should have this. By 40, I should be this. By 20. No, everybody's journey is different. And at the end of the day, if you're not ready to buy, it's okay. Now just do what you need to do, right? To get there. Me, you, other people I work with, we will give you the education you need to create the plan to stick to it.
I think that's what it comes down to. When you hire us as your real estate team, you are getting the education part. You're getting the experience. You're getting the real deal. You're not going to get somebody I might not bring you a flat screen TV and a grill at the closing table, right? And a red carpet, which is all nice, but it's all fluff. That's not what's important. And it's again, the realtors that do that, no offense, no judgment, do you. If that's getting you business, by all means do it, But I think what you get from me is literally my experience, how to problem solve. Like I don't ever have deals that cancel. It's very rare that I have a deal that's going to cancel, right?
Yeah.
I will find a solution And that's my job, is to find a solution to get you to the closing table, because you want the house. Let me figure it out for you. Right. So like I said, over the weekend, we have a deal that's literally like on this last thread, but that's what you have me for as your real estate agent, is to figure out a solution to the issue. A regular realtor would have said, well, cancel it. We're done. Right.
Oh,
and
no,
then
listen.
you lose your deposit and so forth. But I'm literally like pulling tricks out of a hat to get this deal done, because and again, it just comes from experience.
Yeah, that's the thing. Listen, as a lender, I have funded over $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
100 million. Sorry, 100 million. I was over there giving myself
too much billion.
100 million, 100 million. I mean, which again, depending on who you talk to, is not a big deal.
Yeah.
There are other lenders out there doing that in a year.
Yeah.
Right? More power to them. But my experience has value. And I haven't started a loan that I haven't CTC'd in my entire career. I don't start a race I can't finish.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm playing with
CTC is clear close.
Clear to close. Final approval means you get to go to the closing table and get your keys.
Yes.
Every deal I start is a yes. And I have battled with realtors saying, no, this isn't going to work. Right. And no, it'll be fine. I'm like, then you need another lender. Like, I'm not doing this.
Because it's a waste of time. You're playing with
my reputation, and you're wasting my time, and you're playing with emotions.
More importantly, you're playing with the client's time, the client's emotion, the client's money. Like, that's something I just don't play with.
It's unethical.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, in my opinion.
I've told clients, let's wait a year. Like, hey, you're not ready. Like, let's wait. I don't want to waste your time or money. And people get so emotionally wrapped, right? And it is emotional, right? Residential real estate is very emotional, and I get it 100%. So they've already dreamed on the house. They already made plans. They made birthday plans. They really see the family living in the house. You know what I mean? And sellers are already ready to go, So it's very emotional on both ends, and so I get it, and I don't ever want to play with somebody's livelihood like that. They've made plans. They turn in their lease notice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they need somewhere to go. So we need to get them the house.
We had a client. I don't think you were the one telling me, but last week there were clients, not my clients. They were throwing a party at the house in the backyard the day before it funded.
Stop it. Who allowed this? Who allowed this?
It was vacant because it was an investor that was flipping the house. So there was nobody
living there.
Realtor
you work with?
No. A friend. It's a realtor that I do work with, but that she was a listing agent. She was like, oh my God, they were partying. I was like, girl.
Stop it.
People are out of control.
Stop
it's too much.
Stop it. So, and again, I don't know if this is going to be a little boring podcast or whatever, but I don't think that house is not yours until it funds. So even if you sign for it, the money has to go through.
Yeah, the wire has to be received.
The money has to be, the seller has to get that check before the house is legally yours. Okay. And so sometimes if you are funding at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it won't fund that day. It's going to fund the next day. Do you know what I mean?
You work with me because we table fund and look at
yes.
You, and we do not allow you to sign at 5. You are signing by 2 o'clock
minimum.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Trying at 9 a.m. honey.
We had what did we have at 8 a.m. closing?
You don't need anything before 10. It's so annoying.
But I also had like 6 and 7 p.m. closing just because of work schedules.
Yeah.
It just happens, and I'm very clear with clients.
You have to set expectations.
That's it. Let them know you cannot move into this house until it funds. Period.
It's liability.
I mean, liability.
There's liability,
absolutely. And so that's crazy that somebody let them have a party.
They didn't let them. They just showed up.
They had keys, or they just went to the backyard. Why would they do that? You couldn't even look at the house.
They wanted to have a barbecue. They were in the back house partying.
Well, hopefully it funded, correct?
The next day.
Okay, well.
They were 24 hours
crazy. What's your craziest real estate story? Like, I want to know.
Pick one. Okay.
What comes to mind?
I have one deal that the underwriter called, we did everything pre-approved, submitted everything. The underwriter calls me and says, hey, your client did not file tax returns. I said, yeah, he did, because I personally uploaded them, right? I was helping my processor at the time. And she said, no, you're not understanding me. There are no tax transcripts for the past 2 years, which means he did not file. And then there's a long...
Wait, was this my file? No, I'm just kidding.
And then there's a pause because she's waiting for the light to go on. I said, oh, so you're calling to tell me about mortgage fraud on my file. She said, bingo.
Oh, so they submitted fake tax documents.
They hadn't filed them. So it's mortgage fraud.
Oh my god.
So I called the client.
People are old.
Wait, so I called the client. I said, hey, I just want to confirm that you, right, because you don't want to attack.
Yeah.
Right? I just want to confirm that you sent in your tax returns. Mm-hmm. Did I need to? I said, well, yes, because that would be mortgage fraud. Mm-hmm. Well, is everybody going to require this? Yes, sir. So I'm going to go ahead and let you know your loan is denied.
Well, they were on the contract and anything, wasn't
yes, they were on the contract.
They better file them taxes.
Said your loan is denied because you've now committed mortgage fraud. I can no longer be your LO because now I know, right, what's happened. Whether it was through ignorance or whether it was on purpose, right? We will give them the benefit of the doubt, but at the end of the day, I can't be a part of that anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And you're risking earnest money again at that point, right? Like it's just this whole process. That was crazy. I had another file. If she watches the podcast, she'll know who she is. Mm-hmm. And I love her. So after you get clear to close, the lender will always verify that you still have a job. They verify within 10 days, but they almost always call like the day before you sign. Yeah. They want to make sure you still have a job, right? So the account executive calls me and says, hey, we just found out your client doesn't have a job. I said, no, I just talked to her. She's at work. Like she literally just emailed me, right? She's like, okay, well, I'll have them call again. No problem. They called again and she called me and I'm literally going to my processor's house because I was doing her hair, right? I was still doing a little bit of hair. Mm-hmm. So I'm outside in a very wealthy neighborhood in Colleyville, Keller, like looking like a, homeless person.
Oh,
like,
Lord.
On the phone outside this big ass house, right? Like, what's this dark skinned kid doing down here, right? And they call me back and I'm like, are we good? She said, no. The owner of the company answered and said, if we call again, she's going to file a complaint. Like it was a whole situation. So I had to call my client and I said, listen, could you please confirm that you have a job? She said, well, who did you call? I said, no. That's not the answer. Do you still have a job? She said, well, no. I said, okay, well then your deal is done. Yeah. Like it's dead. Like
so what was she doing?
She had gotten laid off 2 weeks before and the number she gave us to call was her friend who still worked there. Mm-hmm. The number that they called was the overall company number and the owner happened to answer it. Boom. Because listen, no lender's going to ask for, can we talk to, they want it. Whoever answers, right?
That's the one they ask.
They're going to verify. So, child.
I had a client. She was like, I need to quit this job. I hate this fucking job. And I'm like, girl, I don't care what you do after you close. Right. I was like, I don't care what you do after you close. It's not my business. But we need you to stay employed into at least, I don't know the rules. I don't know how long they have to be employed after they close, but I'll say until the day you sign and get keys and the funds, I don't care what you do after that. Somebody, she had a housewarming party and I went to it and I was like, do you still work for such and such? She's like, no, I quit that job. I was like, girl, I knew you would. She's like, I literally quit the next day after I got my keys. I was like, that's crazy. I don't know. But I mean, her husband makes good money. So
that's it. We had a deal we closed a few months ago and the lender called to verify employment. And I didn't know anything till we were at the table. They restructured the entire loan because they said that the spouse was unemployed. I'm like, he has a job. So we're at the table. I said, do you not have a job? He said, no, look. And he called his boss. She's like, nobody called me. He still has a job. They restructured it without him because there was enough money, enough income with just the wife.
Oh, there was?
Yeah. So the underwriter's like, don't worry about it. We restructured it. We're clear to club. We're good.
Why did he do that though?
Because they could, right? Instead of going down the rabbit hole of does he really have a job? Yeah. Let's verify that.
Like, we ain't got time for that.
Yeah, we ain't got time for this crap. Okay. There's enough money on the table. Let's go.
That rarely ever happens. So that's amazing.
Yeah. It was a blessing in disguise. But he was like, I don't think I'm fired.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, do you want a funny story?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. So I have one deal former client of mine. He said, hey, can you do this loan for my sister out of state? I'm not going to say where because it's a dead giveaway but I'm licensed in multiple states, right? I said, yeah, of course. Fast forward, the buyer's agent, who I don't know because she's another state, she said, I feel like I'm working with the mafia. Do you know them? I said, he's great. Like, I've done 2 deals with him. He's not in the mafia. He's not in the Korean mafia, girl. Don't be racist. Calm down, right?
And he was.
And she said, no, wait. She said, well, when he was here, he said, my sister. When I talked to her, she says, my boyfriend. I said, well, he's married. So I don't know if he has a sister wife, a sister girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or a sister. But I do know this. Her employment is verified. Her assets are verified. And I'm not worried about their personal life. Yeah, I'm not asking.
Mafia. How did you get mafia from that? From sister to girlfriend? How does that correlate to mafia?
Small town USA, honey.
Crazy.
All of a sudden, like, they're importing Asians from
That's a big jump. Like, girl, let's give you mafia. Like, what? Oh my goodness. The craziest story I have is I dealt with a squatter one time in one of my listings.
A what? Oh,
a squatter. Yeah, no, literally I had one. And so
I said a squirter.
I had this client, they were still in a house and we had, the regular Realtor box that you can unlock with the Bluetooth, and then they had like a lock box for like the cleaning people because, the listings out of the market for a while. And so they had people clean it periodically. And so, I got like some feedback, like, I think somebody's living in here. And I was like, no, it's empty. It's vacant. And they're like, it looks like somebody's living in here. So I go check on the listing. Somebody brought in this dirty ass couch and they spray painted the windows black because that was the back window didn't have blinds. So they spray painted it black. The bathtub was, it looked like somebody like jizzed all over the bathtub. Like, not even trying to be funny. It looked like something in there. And I was like, so I called my seller, like, you need to get here like today. Like,
yeah, your house is cochino.
So then he gets there, they get there, and we get the cleaning crew out there. They clean up and whatever. I'm helping them carry this dirty ass couch to the dump, right? And like, I was committed to getting this house sold. So I was like, hey, let me go buy some blinds for you for the back because they spray painted the windows and we just cover them with blinds for now, and then we'll until we can scrape off the paint or whatever. So I'm gonna go to Home Depot. I'll get you the blinds and then whatever. So he's like, all right, well, I'm probably gonna lock up and leave. I was like, okay, whatever. So I get the blinds, Home Depot, go back, and the back door is unlocked. So I was like, hey, seller, you left the back door unlocked. He was like, no, I didn't. And I was like, yeah, it's unlocked. It's one light, like, just make sure you lock it, right? And he was like, Ben, I locked the door. I was like, what's unlocked? Like, my dumb ass, like, whatever, it's unlocked. And he was like, Ben, I locked the door. Get out of there right now.
Did it dawn on you somebody was inside?
Somebody was inside already. And I literally ran out the door. And I literally called the police, right? The police came in. I was like, I do not want to get in. I was so scared. Like, I was going to like check every closet. Oh, not me. So I went in there. Police came, looked at the house. I guess the person had already gone or whatever, right? So I'm like, how the fuck are they getting into this house? I'm walking the entire house. Every window was locked. I don't know how. And then finally I go to the garage and there's a window in the garage, like a little window. And there's like a piece of board covering the window. And I guess I've never noticed it because that piece of board is there and I move it and the window's open. So I was like, they're getting through the garage window. So that's what happened. And I was, because I made him take off that lockbox that I said earlier. And I was like, take that lockbox off. Like, I think they're getting in with the lockbox. Somebody probably gave them the code.
Oh, Lord.
And so that was, mind you, I never saw the squatter, but I was terrified. And like, I called the police. It was a whole drama. The police was actually really nice. Shout out to the police out there and Denton Police. Hi. Yeah. And then I had another client. These are just the craziest ones for me, but I was a referral. They were really weird. Like, we're not friends, and but basically, so if they watch this, I don't care. But they, I don't think they will, but whatever. They reached out to me on Facebook, right? Hey, so and so recommended you. Let's meet up. Let's talk. We met up and talked, and it was really weird vibes. Like, the husband was like, if you let me talk to the wife. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, daddy. I was like, oh, what the heck? It was really very domestic violence giving, and I was like, okay, whatever, And they didn't have money. They filed their taxes separately, whatever. It was a whole thing. So I found them a new construction, and you can probably guess the builder. It was a really inexpensive builder that only pays 1%. I couldn't make it out to the walk, like the showing, but I said, hey, I already have you set up, go to this builder, meet up with so-and-so. We found you a house in your price range that's giving you an amazing rate, that's paying your closing costs because they didn't have any money as well.
All the fixes.
All of the red flags. Yeah. So whatever. I sent them to the builder, and they, at first they liked the house and they applied for the house, right? They end up denying these people for the loan, right? And then they call me super pissed off, like, they denied me for the loan, da 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 da. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, let me see if I can figure out a solution for you. And they're like, and they ran our credit together. We're gonna go to jail because we file our taxes separately. I was like, this is just for the lender. There's nothing that gets sent to the government for your taxes. Like, and they're like, whatever. And da 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 da. And the house you made us go to looks like a fucking apartment. And I was like, girl, you live in an apartment. Like, what? You know? So, and then the husband's in the background, like, fuck you, faggot. Like, all this stuff. I was like, oh my, it got so ugly so fast. He's like, when I see you, I'm going to kick your ass. And all this stuff because they denied them on the loan. Like,
because they have shitty credit.
Yeah. I was like, okay, it's not going to work out.
Sure.
I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and send you our termination agreement because we had a buyer agreement. And the wife was like, actually, no, your job is to find us a house. You're going to find us a house. I said, no, ma'am, I'm going to send you a termination agreement. We're no longer working together. Right?
Yeah.
So I sent it to her. They didn't sign it. Like, they didn't sign it. And then finally, a week later, she's like, hey, I'm going to sign it because I'm working with another realtor. I said, okay, good luck. Here.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. That was probably like I ignored every red flag with that client, and I was still trying to close them, you know? And I was like, yeah, never again.
But that was at the beginning of your career.
Very
probably.
beginning of my career. Yeah.
You're chasing money.
Chasing the deal, honey. Let me tell you. I was like, oh my God. It was like crazy to me. I don't think they ever bought a house, let me tell you. But they were like, just crazy. So like people, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, listen, this is the other side of mortgage and real estate. We don't want to give anybody the impression that we don't want to help you get a home.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, we believe that everybody has the right to become a homeowner, right? Generational wealth. But we also want to make sure people are educated. And that's what this is.
And respectful. And they trust you as the professional, right?
I mean,
yeah, that's so important.
It's a relationship. And at the end of the day, you have to trust that whether you're working with both of us on the deal or individually one of us, different deal, that we have your best interest at heart. I talked to somebody today and he said, well, I want to go with Navy Federal Credit Union. Mm-hmm. Right. Blah, 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 blah. His friend, former client of mine referred him to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, so you realize I'm a lender, right? He said, yeah. I said, okay, so I want you to go ahead and go through all the steps with Navy Federal Credit Union, get the rate, get the fee worksheet. And then if you decide that they're not giving you what you think is fair, right, deserve, whatever it is, reach out to me. Or even if you just have a general question, once you get it, reach out to me. Because at the end of the day, I want you to follow your gut, which is Navy Federal. And if something doesn't sit right with you, I'll be here, right? To help. He's like, I really appreciate it. That's what we do, you and I, right? We're not trying to force anybody to work with us. At the end of the day, we want people to believe that they're getting the best deal, the best service, and that they're getting the best preparation for longevity in their home. We do not want to put somebody in a house that they can't afford. That's not the goal. It's not about the commission check.
Yeah.
It's about a relationship.
So that was what am I saying? That was my thing when I first got in to the industry. I think at first I was having commission breath. Like I was trying to just sell it. Yeah. I was just trying to sell a house. Right. And I think I just took that pressure off of myself. And I said, you know what? Because, when you first get into real estate, every coach, everybody's going to say, well, how much money do you want to make? Right. And they're going to write it down for you. And you need to close this many deals. Right. And so that's kind of like the layout,
the motivation.
I was trying to follow, but and that stressed me out so much that I just ditched that, right? I didn't want to do that anymore. I said, I don't want to worry about the commission. I want to worry about how many people I want to help this year. So I think that year I said, I want to help 10 people or something. I don't know. So I think I wrote that number down. Like, I want to help 10 people. That means either they're buying land or buying a house or whatever, what have you. And once I took that commission part out, like, that's going to come. That'll come.
Money comes.
I focus on the people side of that. And I think that was the biggest, like, key change for me, was that took the pressure off myself and making so much money and doing this and that. I just literally focus on how many people I want to help. And that's what's been my motivating factor, and that the money comes from that. You know what I mean?
Money
So
you don't chase money. You don't chase anything. At the end of the day,
and that's another thing I said. I said I want to attract the people. Like I don't want to chase people. Like I'm not in the business to chase people down and make you buy a house and convince you. I want to attract people who are ready to buy. I want to attract people who want to work with me, who trust me. You know what I mean? That's so sorry.
It makes it much more pleasurable for everybody.
Yeah.
And we know because at our closing, we're cutting up.
Yes.
Even before we get to closing, we're cutting up. Listen. So, well, we wrapped up episode 3.
This is episode 3?
Yeah, girl.
Oh my goodness. We have so much more to talk about.
Listen, we can do the other side of real estate part 2 in another episode.
Oh, goodness.
Because this is what we do.
Yeah. All day, every day.
All day, every day.
Hopefully by the time this airs or whatever, we've closed that deal. By the way, that deal over the weekend, another thing I want to add, you guys, that deal over the weekend, part of the headache was the house got broken into.
Yes, I remember you told me.
And they stole the toilet.
Who stole the toilet?
I don't know. They broke into the back house, right? And they stole the toilet, and that's all they stole. Mind you, there's a refrigerator back there. There's a sink. There's it's a nice little like back house.
You don't even need a toilet to take a dump or go pee. So
I said
that was personal.
Yeah, I was like, and so I'm talking to the listing agent, and I'm like, this seems like they're it's like they're trying to send you a message, girl.
Because there's bushes everywhere.
I said, girl,
there's restrooms at Target.
I said, did the seller not pay the plumber? Like, what's going on? Because, like
a toilet.
That's a message,
and listen,
friend.
And it was not a great toilet, I'm sure. It wasn't like this electronic bidet and, laced in
I'm going to
gold.
assume it probably just was a regular toilet. Yeah. But, they took the toilet. And my client was like, it was a mess. They're so sweet. These people are so sweet. And, hopefully by the time this airs, we got them a new toilet. Just by that's done.
Bless you.
And the door frame is fixed and everything, so that's all done. Now we just got to get it closed. But hopefully
when this airs, it'll be closed. You'll be on to your next 3 deals.
Have you seen those things? That guy on Instagram, he has like that magic wand. It's like, I'm wishing you good luck, or like you're gonna.
Yeah, when they do the thing.
No, he has a little wand. He's like, you're gonna pass your exam.
I get
so
on my
cute.
TikTok feed. I get the ones where like they do the motions and they're like, just stay here for 20 seconds, and I'm clearing your energy.
That's funny though. He's a little like gay guy. He has like a magic wand, like and he's like, you're gonna pass your exam this weekend. Where he's like, it's so cute. He's like, I'm sending you positive vibes.
Okay, well listen, I'm giving you closing energy.
Yes, and I'm receiving all the energy.
Listen, this is the swirling toilet of bad energy.
Oh, Lord, not the toilet. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning
everybody.
in.
We appreciate you. We're gonna plug who? You.
Me.
Our Realtor Ben at gmail.com.
Yes.
I don't know your phone number that hard, girl.
469-363-8955.
You might want to sound more excited to hand that out.
I'm trying to give seduction.
Oh, Lord. I'm not giving you seduction, people. It's 682-351-2875 if you're looking for a lender. And you can reach me at Mylo at Team Mylo, TEAMMYLO.com. See you on the next episode.
See you. Bye, guys.
Bye.